John. I do see John is on the call. Good morning, John. Let's see, might be, I think he's muted. I do see you.
Yeah, John, you're muted right at the moment. Let's see.
Colin, if we can.
Maybe I can unmute him here on this end.
Yeah, I cannot if you're able to do it. But so while we're working on that, but today, as some of you may already know, Goodman's Jewelers is reopening after the incidents of late March, and had a wonderful time in the store on Friday with Blaine and Tina Newport of Don's Home Furniture and all the Hayes family and their staff, moving back in cabinets that were really in bad shape after the looting, and the cases are phenomenal. And I hope that you all get a chance to go down and celebrate with John and take a look at the incredible store. Looks just phenomenal.
I think we got John available now.
Are you there, John? Oh. Well, I see he's unmuted. Technology, right?
Yeah.
John, can you hear us okay?
Colin, he came on and said he doesn't have a mic.
Oh, all right. Let's see.
You could call in. There's a number that pops up. John, I'm going to email you a phone number. How's that? I'll do that.
Well, while we're waiting for that, I did put together just a few photos, and we can all run through these kind of from what had happened back in March. I am going to go ahead, Colin, and share my screen if that's okay.
Sure, go ahead.
And then can everyone nod your head if you cannot see that? But it looks, can you all see? So, you know, as we roll through this and wait for John to kind of take us through it a little bit, obviously we're all familiar with the outside of Goodman's prior to the end of March. Lori, can you shake your head if you can see that? Okay, double checking, thanks. And there's John, an interesting story, and I'm going to ask him to talk about this watch section, which I believe went untouched during the looting, which is terrific. Here is some of the photos from, and Colin, just go ahead and break in whenever we get John back. I'll just run through these.
Okay.
So this is the protesting, and then this is kind of the shot where the looting began on, I believe it was March 30th. Here's somewhat of the aftermath of, you know, windows being broken, and you can see some of the things taken out of the case. There's John in the doorway, and we'll talk a little bit about what was going through his mind as he sat there in his shop. I did visit with him on Friday, and one thing that's interesting was the fact that, imagine the jewelry in the jewelry cases, right, is fake jewelry. They don't keep diamonds and so forth. So I immediately thought, oh my gosh, good, he's got insurance. Well, there's a lot of folks out there with armfuls of Goodman's rings that are not real. So that'll be an interesting, it might be a way to trace it too, I don't know. The inside of the store, right afterwards, can see they pretty much smashed and grabbed. And then this is after they've cleaned up the glass. I see the doors boarded. And then here are the new cases. These are still at the shop. Just outstanding. I mean, look at how pretty that is. Just super amazing. This is some of the flooring that was with the original store. So when they lifted up the carpet, this is what they found. Obviously, you know, not enough to use, but beautiful older tile. And here's the new floor. It looks terrific, by the way. And so they laid that. And then this is Friday when the cases were coming off the truck. You can see Blaine Newport in the blue shirt and the mask from Don's Home Furniture. He and Tina Newport, the other co-owner of Don's Home Furniture, on scene. And these cases, Blaine says, are about 400 pounds each. So no light task. Here they are rolling it in, getting ready to roll it in. You can still see across the street some boards still up. And I did ask John, you can see his boards, the yellow, beautiful artwork. And I understand that they are going to retain those boards in their basement and keep them. Hopefully they won't need them again, but they do want to retain them. And this is putting one of the cases in place. And look at the beautiful feet on this case. I mean, just incredible. And again, we'll visit with Blaine from Don's Home Furniture and we'll talk about these cases and what it took to repair them. And of course, Channel 15, if you haven't seen it, came in and did a story about this incredible partnership between Goodman's Jewelers and Don's Home Furniture. And I think they're going to air a longer version of that either today or sometime this week. And John really had fun on Friday, touching the glass and feeling the wood. And it's just as smooth as can be and just as beautiful. And this is one of the kind of a metal plate that was on the inside of the case that was revealed. So that's the original case. I think it's kind of a pretty symbol. These are John's children, Jeremy on the left, who is their jeweler, and then Jenny on the right, who helps with sales and marketing, and Tina Newport from Don's Home Furniture. So on the back side of these cases are sliding doors. Those also needed to be repaired and refinished. And so she's getting those ready for installation. And then some screws had to be put in. Blaine and Jeremy working together to get that done. And then this is our final picture of the whole group and how beautiful, look at those cases. They're just, to me, it's a piece of art. It's just incredible. So anyway, do we have John with us yet?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think we were getting John from Simply Swimming mixed up with John from Goodman. So yeah,
Okay.
so I don't know what happened to John from Goodman's.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, let's do this. If we can, let's bring Blaine in. Blaine, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. Colin, I'm wondering if you want to maybe give him a call, or have you already tried?
Yeah, I shot over an email to him. I'll try calling too.
Okay, because I did email this morning. But anyway, Blaine, are you there? Let's see. I know I saw him. Well, maybe we just have some shy folks. So I think, Blaine, I think you may still be muted. All right. Well, I saw he was on, and now I'm not sure if something's happening while we're going back here. Blaine, I don't know if you can hear me, but if you want to give my cell phone a call, maybe we can get you on that way. We will continue to try here, but a couple things while we're waiting for these folks to come on, but a couple of things that I found interesting right out of the gate. And one thing that certainly should be, well, two things, quite frankly, that should be celebrated. But, after John, and you may have all seen the video, which is really somewhat hard to look at. but the video of John walking in the night that this happened. What I understand is that he received a call for somebody who saw the Goodman's Jewelers being looted, saw it on Facebook Live, and called John, and John decided to go down, and there's video of John confronting a man at the doorway, telling him to put the jewelry down, and the guy did comply, but it was not a small guy, so I think it took quite a bit for John to do that. But then the real, cool thing was, I think it was maybe a day after this happened. Oops, are you there, Blaine?
I finally am. I figured this little thing out. I apologize.
Hey.
This is 100% new for me.
No worries, you did it. Great job. In fact, good timing, because I was just talking about things that we're celebrating, and one of the things that I celebrate is how quickly you and Tina responded when you heard about these cases being wrecked, and I think John was, obviously very upset about it. And I kind of want to go back and take it a step further to what Tina shared with me, is that back in the day, Don's, the business, that's what the business was, is they refinished, now this would be your former father-in-law, they refinished antique pieces, right?
They
So
did.
this was kind of in the wheelhouse, but it's not really refinishing isn't really what Don's Home Furniture does. So when you see this, and you say to yourself, I remember you said to me, we can do that. I know we can do that. Why did you feel that way? And why did you feel compelled to jump in, like, I think the day after the story came out?
Well, it was kind of funny, but the reason why I decided to do it was I had seen a report. Tina had seen a report. We had both seen kind of the same thing on the news, that John was talking about how the cabinets were 100 years old and from the early 1930s or late 1920s, and that they were cabinets that just simply couldn't be replaced with an identical kind of a thing. I mean, you just don't see that kind of craftsmanship anymore. So the background of Don's Home Furniture is quite simply put, when Don first started it, his goal was to run around to auctions, buy antique furniture, and refinish it and resell it. And when his asthma got so bad, he had to look for alternatives. And one of the things he looked for were antique reproduction furniture and as new furniture. And so the rest of it kind of blossomed from there. But yes, we do have quite a history. I actually used to refinish antiques with Don in his garage and turn them into nice looking pieces of furniture again. So when I saw this story, these cases I knew were something that just couldn't be remade. The goal was simply to restore them to as close to original as possible. Unfortunately, I did not know at the time when I placed the call to you exactly how difficult it was going to be to replace some of the parts and pieces to this. So we learned as we went along, but the wood alone, the special wood that they're made out of, is actually a wood that's no longer available in the United States. It's called big leaf mahogany, and it's a restricted wood, so you can't get it on a regular basis. So any parts that needed to be replaced for this were going to be difficult to find. But the people that I know, where I know them, thank goodness, have access to some of this stuff from old stashes of it that have had it in the States for decades, actually. So any parts that needed to be replaced were actually able to be replaced. The glass, that's a whole other story altogether. But that's the reason why we thought that we knew we could do something good with this, and we knew we could take the cases that basically were part of Goodman's for almost 100 years and make them look like they were part of the business brand new all over again.
Yeah, and they are beautiful pieces. I mean, I think everybody, when they arrived, everybody was touching the wood, like there's just something amazing, smooth. We do have John Hayes with us. Good morning, John.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm doing well. It's really nice to walk in the door and see those cases just shining at me. They're beautiful.
Are they full this morning, ready for the reopening?
Kind of, because we are still a little bit disarrayed because we've been working off of the trays in the vault for a couple months now, so things are kind of messed up as far as what goes where, but we'll figure that out this week.
So we were just talking with Blaine about the cases, and I'm showing just some photos that you and I shared over the weekend. But if I can, you know, this is all about celebrating the day and celebrating your partnership, our community businesses, that this is just a prime example of how great we are when we work together and how quick Blaine reached out and just many reasons to celebrate. But there's some things that I took away from this entire, the protests, the looting. There's many lessons, there's many great things, but one thing in particular was the day after the looting. I remember seeing you do a television interview, and I was so taken back and so impressed by your attitude towards protesters. Can you speak to a little bit about your feeling? I mean, you didn't appear anyway to be angry, right? Like you understood the protest.
No. Yeah, I understand the protests and support them because the things that they are requesting be done should have been done eons ago, and that they have every right to speak freely and say what they feel is necessary to get change moved. And the people that did the damage were not, in my mind, associated with the protests. They were people that took advantage of a bad situation, and I think they actually did more harm for the protesters than they did good, because they left a sour taste in people's mouths, and people didn't all understand the difference between the protesters and the riot and looters. There's a big difference between the two.
And two different groups. Yeah, I did share with you, and I was mentioning it while we were working to get you on, that on Friday, I said it kind of makes me giggle a little bit when I think about folks that came in and grabbed arms full, just like the gentleman that you encountered when you walked in that night. Walking around, I'm hoping that this will be easy to trace and to find these people, because they're basically trying to sell real diamond jewelry when it is not, correct?
Yeah. Most of what they took was sample pieces that are not valuable to anybody except for us, because we use them as tools to sell jewelry from.
Yeah. So, again, I apologize to everyone on the call for repeating it, but I want to make sure that we talk about this. So one of the things that is still very challenging when we look back to the looting and the protesting, I agree, is like completely different. The looting was just a completely different thing. Take us back though to March 30th, I believe it was, when somebody that you know sees on Facebook that the store is being broken into and looted. I'm just going to ask you straight out, what were you thinking going down there? But what was running through your mind? Like, I get so scared every time I see that video.
I need to go down and protect it. I need to protect it. I need to do what I can to keep it safe.
Oh, I kept saying, every time I see it, I said to my husband, oh my God, we got to go down and help John. And like, so you go down there. We realized that the police officers, which is a whole nother thing, police were not helping by keeping folks out of the stores, which is a whole nother conversation. And so you go down there and the first thing that I see is a very large gentleman trying to make his way out of the store, and you tell him to stop. What's going through your mind at that point?
I was really mad at him for being in here and just feeling free to take things, things that were not his, obviously. I told him, "You're stealing from me." And he finally put the tray of merchandise down. We got other video that show him that he's actually already put stuff in his pockets. So he did end up stealing, even though he said, "I'm not stealing from you now."
Yeah. Well, and I thought he was, right? Because like you see him on the video putting it down, and I personally think he was afraid of you, John. I think that's what.
Well,
yeah.
I had a little rage in my face, I'm sure.
Yeah. It sounded like
he
it.
knew he wasn't going to get by me without some conflict.
Yeah.
Of some
Wow.
sort. It was just adrenaline.
You're so brave.
At that
I
point.
don't know. I don't know where that comes from. That's amazing. So you walk in. Are there other folks in the store, or was he the only one at that point?
He was the only one at that point. But after he left and I was walking around taking video of damage, some other people walked in and they saw that I was there and left. One of them saw a piece of jewelry that had dropped and fallen on the entryway. She stopped and picked it up and took off. So they were still trying to get stuff, but as I said, most of what they got was not worth anything. The value is that they, in fact, one of our other jewelers in town, Condon's, had somebody come in and try to sell the piece for scrap, and the fellow there said, "Well, I'm going to have to take it in and look at it." He knew exactly what it was, but he took the premise of that he had to take it in to examine it, got the fellow's contact information and everything, and when he left, they called the police to report the item. So it's kind of a thing that other jewelers in town also, we're competitors, but we also respect everybody else and try to work together. In fact, the person that called me is the manager of Bruno's out by Westtown. And she's the one that called me at home and told me, "John, you got to get down to your store. It's being looted." So it's kind of ironic that other jewelers, we're a small community, but we respect each other.
Yeah, it is great, and the fact that you're working together with them, and you're so well respected in this community that I think everyone wanted to do what they could to help. So that's great. So let's then fast forward a little bit, right? So you walk in and you're picking up glass and you're picking up pieces, and then you get a call from Blaine Newport from Don's Home Furniture, and he says what to you?
He says, "John, I understand I'm paraphrasing, that you have some damaged cases. I want to take care of those for you." Completely caught me off guard, and I'm glad to pay for them. He said, "John, I want to take care of them for you." He emphasized that it was his personal feeling that he wanted to take care of them, that he wanted to help, and he wasn't asking me to pay him for anything. He was just wanting to take care of things and help out, which was phenomenal. It was kind of hard to believe somebody'd step up like that. They did a phenomenal job in these cases.
Yeah, and Blaine, I had talked to him during that period of time, and there was no talking him out of it. He was adamant that he could do it really well, do it the way you wanted it, and And I think, and again, we'll bring Blaine here in a minute, but it was his intention to help you out because you have done so much for this community. And I think that's one of the best things about Madison. You know, you saw it with your person from, you know, or all of your fellow jewelers. And now, you know, here we see it with Blaine and the cases. So again, we're just rolling through some photos. I'm showing one of the old tile that you had posted. It's beautiful, but wasn't able to be restored. Is that correct?
That's correct, yeah. The building was built in 1913, and it was a bank. So it had a really beautiful terrazzo tile floor. The entrance was kind of like a mosaic that separated the rest of the floor. It was really a neat look, but unfortunately over the years, with many times that the floor's been redone and carpeted and tiles have broken and lifted up, the chance of redoing that was that's not even realistic.
And they're very small pieces, it appears, very small tile.
Yeah, they're about 1 inch, 3/4 inch, something like that, square tiles that are laid out in beautiful pattern.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're scrolling through showing the new floor, which is amazing and goes so well with these new cases. And then again, scrolling through the photos that you and I took on Friday. And so Blaine, if we can bring you back in, it looks like these cases are not light cases. Is that right?
No, with the glass included in all the doors and everything on them, each case weighs anywhere between 300 and 350 pounds. And so they're relatively heavy cases. And the hardest part with them was actually figuring out how to move them because they were so long, and trying to keep them, once we did get the glass replaced on them, keep them from twisting and moving so that glass didn't get jarred loose again. So we actually had to connect the glass a little differently than they used to in years past. They used to just use a small silicone bead, but instead we had to UV seal the edges of all the glass, which is a different way of doing it. It's quite expensive and quite pricey, but with a case this size, that's the only way to do it. So, you know, all total, there were some seriously heavy cases. It took 3 or 4 guys to get them on and off the truck.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking too at
they're
the
8 feet long.
Yeah, they are big. Yeah, they're big and heavy. And of course, you know, I would have been happy to help you all lift, but I was on photo duty.
Right.
I'm looking at the feet on these. They're a beautiful gold finish. Are those painted, Blaine?
Those are metal. And
metal.
so those are actually the original feet. And interestingly enough, you know, the feet on them were in really good shape. They just simply needed to be sandblasted and repainted, which is all that we did to them. And so they're a cast iron foot. And amazingly, usually cast iron is somewhat brittle over the years. And as these cases, as you can see in some of the pictures, some of these cases were tipped backwards and pushed over and stuff like that. None of the feet broke because we would have an almost impossible time replacing these feet, you know, when it comes to, you know, anything related to these particular cabinets. So I'm glad that they all survived.
Yeah, they're beautiful. And you can see in this photo, the new carpeting, new blue carpeting. And then also you'll see in some of the photos, and I didn't know what that was when we were there, but you'll see some blue kind of roping hanging down throughout the store. You'll also see new lighting, that new track lighting, which is stunning. The blue, John, the blue strings hanging down are for COVID purposes, right? For your barrier?
Right. We built panels of clear vinyl to hang from the ropes for COVID protection. So we wanted to be able to have something where people could feel comfortable looking at the merchandise and in between us and the customer. And they some of them got damaged, but most of them won't be able to restore. But they're strictly for the COVID. Otherwise, we don't normally have rope hanging from the ceiling.
Yeah. I was very intrigued. I wasn't sure what you were doing there, but so
Yeah.
now there were a total of, I believe, 7 cases. Is that right, John?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so 4 of them were delivered on Friday, and then the other 3, Blaine, they're still working on it. Did you say that they had a little bit more damage and needed a little bit more work?
No, these cases, so 2 out of the 3 that remain, and if you actually go to one of the first pictures that you had of when the looting occurred, there is a cabinet just to the inside right of the door that is completely tipped backwards. And this was a cabinet that is a special cabinet because there's a bump out in the wall where that cabinet is in front of. That cabinet is a very, very skinny cabinet, and that cabinet was one that was made probably in the 60s or 70s. It looks like that style from that standpoint. And it was one that somebody made specifically for that spot. The problem was that cabinet was damaged beyond repair, so it's not one of the original cabinets. However, I wanted to know how important that cabinet was to them, and obviously being where it is, it has to be a special size and special depth. So I contacted one of my Amish builders and asked him if he would please make me a duplicate cabinet to the original cases, but make it in the size of the case that was damaged beyond repair. So that's one of the 3 that are missing, and that cabinet will probably be here sometime end of August, beginning of September would be my guess. The other 2 cabinets are extremely rare. These cabinets, the other 2 cabinets, are curved glass cabinets. They have curved glass on both sides of them with a little bit of a straight thing. They're a little smaller than the other existing cabinets. But interestingly enough, the 2 cabinets that have the curved glass, several of the cabinets had damaged glass along with these curved glass cabinets. And the curved glass themselves, for each one of these, there's 4 pieces that we need. Those 4 pieces alone are the most difficult pieces of glass to get a hold of. And the reason for it is, from what I've understood through my glass guide, there are only 4 places in the country that make curved glass like this anymore. And we had to search and search. I finally was able to come across someone in Pennsylvania that was able to make the curved glass. And so we're actually having 4 brand new pieces of this curved glass made for these 4 cabinets. So that's the reason for the delay on those 3 cabinets. But they'll get here eventually, and they'll go right in place, and they'll look just as beautiful as the rest of them.
It's amazing. Well, you've certainly gone over and above on the amount of work you've put into making this look the best it can.
Well, like I said, it was a challenge. I didn't know quite what I had bitten off when I first made the offer, and it's taken an awful lot of back and forth calls with a lot of people to try and figure out where this goes. We had to have the cabinets actually needed to be stripped, completely stripped, because of all of the years of people putting extra coats of this on them and that on them to try and freshen them up. And so, we went to the effort of not just trying to touch them up. We actually decided that the best way to make these look the right way was to actually strip them all down to bare wood, start fresh, and go from there. And there was an occasion, and John can tell you this too, I sent him pictures throughout the process. There was an occasion where after the cabinets had been stripped, we looked at the wood and said, I'm not sure that wood is going to match color-wise. It looked awful light in the picture, and so we, thank goodness, my finisher was able to do what he did, and he got the cabinets back to the right color. As you can see in the picture there, they match the walls, which the walls behind them are actually made of the exact material, that big leaf mahogany. So it's a very rare wood, and some of the wood in those cabinets is extremely valuable.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. And John, how was this process for you, going through this refinishing process? I mean, was this something that was, initially were you thinking, man, we're going to have to get all new cabinets, and then here comes Blaine and Tina and they've redone these? Like, how was this whole process for you? Did this help a little bit?
It helped more than a little bit. Psychologically, it helped me feel like, yes, we can do this. We can really get going and go forward. Emotionally, it was huge. The generosity and the craftsmanship, all of it was just terrific. And even my whole staff was excited about having everything done that was done. They're all extremely proud of what they do here, and the ability to do it with the same original cases. Everybody is very excited.
Yeah. So you brought up, the emotional aspect of this, and I would have think that this entire experience has been a roller coaster, right? I mean, the fear initially, the reality of what your store's looking like, and then Blaine and Tina step in, and there's hope that these can be restored, and now they're back in your store, and today you're reopening. How has that entire process been for you and your staff?
Well, it's been ups and downs. We initially started after everything was done on that Saturday night, with cleaning and boarding up the windows and getting all the glass cases taken care of, and then getting the floor replaced because it was so full of glass. All of that was just kind of one thing after another that went actually relatively smoothly, considering how much had to be done and how many different people were involved in getting it done. It's been a journey that I don't want to repeat.
God willing, right?
But yes, right.
Yeah.
Hey, Peggy,
Yeah.
let me say one thing here if I can, because
Sure.
I actually have to leave in a few minutes. But one of the main reasons that Tina and I decided to do this had absolutely nothing to do with anything other than the fact that the Goodman family and Goodman's Jewelers has done so much for this community over the years. And I think that's one thing that hasn't been said enough, as to why Goodman's is kind of almost, I guess if you want to call them the poster child for the rebuilding process down there, is because of what the family and Goodman's Jewelers and John and his wife and everybody in his family have continued to do for the community over the course of decades. And their name is up on things like the pool and the MATC South Campus and all of that. It's the reason Tina and I reached out to him more than anything else was, yes, we knew we could do and repair the cabinets. But what's the most important is the fact that the community owes them a little bit of thanks, everybody in this community. And it was the community that tore apart that store, unfortunately. And I think the rest of the community now, just like you saw people show up the day after all of this and started cleaning up, and the outpouring of support, the rest of the community now needs to step up and help out the people that have helped our community so much.
Mhm. Well
So,
said.
yeah,
Well
it's
said.
an important part.
Yeah, John, and I think everyone on this call and everyone in the community would echo their love for you and your family and the business and the ongoing support in this community that you and Goodman's Jewelers, does. And I think that this one story, this one celebration, this day is really about, all of us just saying thank you to all you do in our community.
Thank you. It's something that Bob and I have always installed in me is that you have to give back to the community that supports you. That's just the right thing to do, and you don't ask if something needs to be done. If you see it, do what you can to help get it done.
Yeah. Well, we want to congratulate you on your reopening, and I would just encourage, if you're on the call today, I was there Friday, they're doing it right, they're doing it safely. Go on and see them. And John, I believe people are you encouraging appointments, or is the store open and limited numbers of people? How are you working with that?
Well, we still don't have a front door.
Oh.
That's still being, it's coming from Michigan. It had to be made. Kurt Martin from Martin Glass is taking care of that. And he's thinking it'll probably be in the later part of this week.
Okay.
So, but we do have a doorbell outside, so people can ring the bell. We encourage appointments. That makes it a little easier to control the number of people, because we want to make sure we stay safe for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So we are trying to limit it to about half a dozen people at a time at the most in the store.
Mm-hmm.
Just so we can maintain, a long, narrow place. So
Yes.
there's
Yes.
not a lot of extra room to.
Yeah, there's not really
put more
6 feet to pass, is there?
No, not really. No.
No, I think that's a great way. But, maybe just if you're on this call, maybe just, either stop in and ring the bell, or like you said, just let them know you're coming, so that you're coming at a time when there's not a lot of people. But please, don't be afraid to go downtown. That's the other point I want to make is, the bid district and DMI and a lot of other groups are doing so much to make it easy. My husband and I were down there over the weekend. We were down over by the Edgewater. We were downtown, and went up to the office. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. It's very difficult to see on what would normally be a beautiful farmers market Saturday was empty. But please, as community leaders, I just encourage you to go downtown, take a walk, take a stroll. You can do it safely. Visit some of your neighboring businesses that are down there, including John at Goodman's. But encourage other people to go downtown. I think it's so important for us right now, in order to heal and to move on, is to have human beings down there. John, you'd agree with that, I assume?
Yes, absolutely. The merchants up and down the street need support. The restaurants have suffered severely, and other merchants that have been closed down from all of this after 2 months of COVID. This on top of it, it's necessary that people support the businesses that are here. Unfortunately, there are some that aren't going to be able to make it through this, which is a real shame in of itself. But any support that we can give any of the other downtown merchants is really necessary.
Yeah, well said. Well, John, we want to thank you for being here, and we celebrate you, and we thank you for all you do in our community, will continue to do, have done in the past. We are just really excited for this kind of new beginning for you, your family, and your staff, and we wish you all the best.
Well, thank you very much. and apologize for my being tardy into to the
No
call.
worries. We're happy to get you. And again, the story, and I believe Channel 15 will air it under There's Something to Smile About. You'll see a full story, John's interview, Blaine's interview, along with Tina from Don's Home Furniture. So keep an eye open for that. We'll post it on the Dane by Local Facebook page.
Okay.
Thanks again. Colin?
Thank you all.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today, John. I do appreciate it. You know, Goodman Jewelers has been around since 1933. My parents have been married for 65 years. They bought their wedding rings there. My sister's was married 40 years ago, and she got her rings there as well. I've done numerous repairs there, so you know it's a tradition that just continues in Madison. We really need to have Goodman Jewelers remain with us on State Street. We appreciate all the efforts that you put forth on towards the community. So, and with Dane by Local, John and his staff have been great as far as Dane by Local is concerned as well. So thank you for all of that. And for Blaine and Tina as well, and everything that they have done for the community is just amazing. So what a great story, great story. So as they're talking about on Channel 15, it's something to smile about. So we need those things today, don't we? So thank you everyone for joining. We'll be back again next Monday at 10 a.m. And don't forget about the passport, download it off our website, and have a great day, everyone. Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, John. Thank you for what you do. See you, Colin.
Thanks, Denny.